allergies is due to having an overproduction of histamine in your body. And that can occur through having a, high inflammatory diet. Maybe you're eating too many seed oils, like too many processed foods. And so that's naturally raising your histamine levels, raising your inflammation in your body. So it could be a diet problem, or maybe it could be a gut issue. A lot of people have underlying gut issues. They may not experience direct like gut symptoms like gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or whatever, but it can still be due to gut problems, having these allergies, these crazy allergies. So pharmaceutical allergy medications are not targeting the root problem. And the way that you can target it naturally is to eat a low inflammatory diet. So like mostly whole foods. And then also there is a compound called quercetin that acts as a natural histamine, not a histamine, a natural antihistamine that is really great and really powerful. And another cool thing about quercetin is it can also help to alleviate gut problems as well. So another thing about having allergies is, so when it comes to histamine, there is an enzyme that gets produced in your body called DAO enzyme, and it directly interacts with histamine to help bring it down. But there are certain foods that or drinks that you can eat that actually lower the DAO enzyme, which basically doesn't metabolize that histamine. So that could be foods like green tea, matcha. I have a list of it compiled. If you guys need a list of like the supplement, I'm sorry, like the foods that actually reduce the DAO enzyme, which you don't want to happen, let me know. And by the way, real quick, just as a little bit aside, so these 10 supplements that I'm going over, I'm not covering the gut harming ingredients. I've covered that in the past before. So if you guys need to know like what those ingredients are that cause direct harm to your gut, let me know and I can send that over to you. So the other thing that you should not be taking are antacids. So antacids are basically, they make your stomach less acidic. They make it more of like a base. So in terms of pH balance, you have like base on one end and then acidity on another end. And so that's what antacids do. They make your stomach more base-like versus acidic, and your stomach is naturally meant to be acidic. So antacids, they mask the symptoms. They do not target the root cause of acid reflux, or ulcers, things like that. In fact, long-term antacid use can make the root problem worse over time, and it can lead to gut imbalances, like an overgrowth of bad bacteria in your gut as well. It can also lead to, parasites in your body, things like that, because the acidity in your stomach is the first line of defense against those bad things like parasites and bad bacteria, things like that. So it can actually make problems worse, taking antacids. So acid reflux is actually a sign of inadequate stomach acid or a wrong blend of stomach acids. So how you combat acid reflux is by actually raising your stomach acid levels, increasing that. And you can increase that with cayenne pepper. The cayenne pepper, basically, because it's so spicy, it stimulates stomach acid production. And then also eating digestive bitters before each one of your meals. Now, what digestive bitters do is not only do they help to increase stomach acid production, but they also basically tell your pancreas to create more enzymes, which enzymes also help in the breaking down process along with the acid in your stomach. So some examples of bitters that you could eat could be times multivitamins will have the ascorbic acid form of vitamin C, the synthetic form of vitamin D, which we'll cover in a second. Excess iron, which most people don't even need because we get so much of it in our diet anyway. So it creates a lot of problems. Plus the vitamin A in most of the multivitamins are in the beta carotene form. And when it's in the beta carotene form, our bodies have to convert this into retinol, which is the active form of vitamin A, which is what our body uses. But at that point, because we've had to convert it, it reduces the amount of the active vitamin A that we get from those supplements. So what can you use instead of a multivitamin? One is beef liver. It really is amazing. And I'm not like, I know like some people recently, I guess, have become a little wary of beef liver because of the whole Liver King controversy. Just because you take steroids doesn't mean that beef liver is, not healthy and really powerful and impactful to your health. I will say that, obviously what he was trying to promote, that eating beef liver and bull testicles, et cetera, made him as, bulky and muscular and strong as he was, which that's not true. It's not a magic pill for that stuff, but it is really, really great for your health. So he is right about that. And he's not the only one, by the way, who promotes beef liver, but I do have a training on beef liver, so if you guys want to watch that and all the benefits of that, just let me know. Also, you can do cod liver oil. Remember, cod liver oil has great amounts of vitamin D and vitamin A in their bioavailable form, and also supplementing with electrolytes. So the reason why you'd want to supplement with electrolytes is a couple reasons. One big reason is most of our food and our water is minerally depleted because we mass produce on our soils. We don't allow the land to rest. And so they've done studies where they compare, vegetables from the 1940s to vegetables to now, and our vegetables now are just significantly depleted in minerals. And so we're not as healthy as a result either. Okay, so the next one is, and by the way, we're almost done, guys, vitamin D. So supplemental vitamin D is not the same that we make from the sun. So when you're exposed to the sun, basically the sun tells your body, so to speak, to convert to make vitamin D. And so that is one of the greatest sources of vitamin D. So if you're vitamin D deficient, one, you need more sunlight, and two, you need it from actual whole foods, not the supplemental form of vitamin D, which is not bioavailable. So also, having excess vitamin D can create problems as well. Remember how I said iron and copper have an inverse relationship? So do vitamin D and vitamin A. The more vitamin D you have, the less vitamin A you have. The more vitamin A, the less vitamin D, etc. So vitamin D can deplete vitamin A, which will mean you have less bioavailable copper as well for the body to use. So excess vitamin D will also inhibit your iron recycling system, which means you'll get a buildup of iron in the tissue. Again, the tissue, not the blood. And when iron accumulates in the tissue, this leads to inflammation and hormone imbalances. So vitamin D can affect a lot of things and create a lot of problems when you supplement with it and get it in excess, that is. Vitamin D also depletes magnesium, which 80% of Americans are already deficient in magnesium. And it also ups calcium and copper. So, so what you can take instead of the vitamin D is the beef liver, the cod liver oil, and magnesium. So, and get more sunlight, of course, as well. Let's see, we are on number 9. Okay, so the 9th one is zinc. We have one more after this. So zinc and copper are antagonists. The more zinc you have, The less copper, the more copper, the less zinc, etc. So supplementing with zinc increases metallothionein production, not sure how to say that, which binds to copper and makes it unavailable for use in the body. And remember, when you have less copper, you have a buildup of iron in the tissues, and that leads to inflammation. So zinc creates problems with copper and iron. So we know that zinc depletes copper levels. Zinc and copper are synergistic, but also antagonistic. Okay, so let's see. Covered that. Okay, so low zinc also means low magnesium. Now remember, 80% of Americans are already deficient in magnesium. And when the liver gets depleted of magnesium, it will also use zinc as a replacement. So if you have low zinc on blood work, then you would want to focus on zinc-rich foods and magnesium first. So that could be things like zinc-rich foods could be things like oysters, red meat, poultry. So, chicken and turkey, beans, nuts, crab, lobster, and dairy products. Now, when I say dairy products, it might not be so prevalent today, but I know like maybe a few years back, like there was this big push about like how you shouldn't eat dairy, because like only babies eat dairy, like baby animals eat dairy, et cetera, et cetera. But dairy is actually very nourishing. It does have a lot of naturally occurring vitamins and minerals. So don't be afraid of dairy unless you're lactose intolerant. That's a different story. But if you're not, don't be afraid of dairy. Okay, so let's see. So there are some situation in which you would want to supplement with zinc, but that would only be after like you've done actual testing of blood work and maybe an HTMA, that you would specifically want to supplement with zinc. Okay, now the last one, and this is a big one, and I have recent experience with this as well, and that is taking NSAIDs. NSAIDs like ibuprofen, aspirin, all NSAIDs, because they can cause intestinal permeability, especially if you're taking it close to training. So that's a really interesting fact about that. So what is intestinal permeability? Intestinal permeability is basically where the insides of your intestines deteriorate. In essence, they kind of get eaten through by bacteria and other factors, or products like NSAIDs that can cause intestinal permeability. And then what happens after that is it creates an inflammatory response in your body, not just your gut, but your whole body. And it can create this environment where bad bacteria can proliferate in your gut, which can lead to SIBO, like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, things like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, all kinds of gut disorders. So, and some of you guys know that I've been struggling with some digestion issues the last 4 years, and I'm working with a gut professional right now. But one interesting thing that I've noticed is, so obviously you guys know I'm a woman. I have a menstrual cycle, and cramps are very unpleasant. And so basically ever since I've had a menstrual cycle, every period I've been taking ibuprofen around the clock. So that's what, probably like almost 20 years I've been taking ibuprofen around the clock. And by the way, when I got my bloods done with my gut professional, I did have intestinal permeability. So yeah, it's been interesting to learn that fact that NSAIDs can create, it's not the only thing that can create intestinal permeability, but it does add to that. And so recently, because I've come to know that, I've been trying to wean off NSAIDs and instead take natural pain relievers, like ginger extract. I didn't have very good results with that. And I tried PEA as well. PEA, the normal form of PEA didn't work for me, but at the recommendation of a gut coach, he actually recommended micronized PEA. And whenever I got the micronized PEA, that worked wonders. So this last menstrual cycle, like I have not taken, maybe took 6 ibuprofen the whole period, which is nothing in comparison to what I was taking. And then for everything else, I was taking PEA and it worked great. I haven't tested it yet on headaches. I've been getting headaches here and there. So I'll test it on that, but it's also great for headaches. Really, any pain relief, PEA is great for. So the other interesting thing about NSAIDs is they can also hinder muscle gains, meaning hypertrophy, because they are anti-inflammatory. So whenever you work out, like you do a hard lifting session and you've adequately stimulated your muscular fibers, there is a natural inflammatory response, and that inflammatory response is good, and it promotes muscular gains in size. If you're taking anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen, aspirin, then you're reducing that natural inflammatory response in the muscles as well, even if you're not taking it for that. And that can hinder your muscular gains. Now, this also applies to anti-inflammatory vitamins. Like we know that vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A are anti-inflammatory as well. So that can happen if you're supplementing with those things too, and around the clock or in excess, whatever. So, but with the things with like vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C, they're not directly harmful, while NSAIDs are directly harmful. They cause the intestinal permeability. I know in some people it can cause stomach ulcers as well. So if you are in pain, if you have headaches, menstrual pain, or general inflammation, my biggest recommendation is PEA. And by the way, this is not just anecdotal. My own personal experience where it really helped me with my cycle. There are studies that show this as well. So I recommend micronized PEA. It is more effective. Or ginger extract might work for you. It didn't work for me. And the interesting thing about PEA is it also can help to heal your gut lining. So NSAIDs, they harm your gut lining, but PEA is a natural pain reliever, and it can actually bring healing to your body. If you have just general aches and pains like joints, tendons, sore muscles, then you can take something that's called BPC 157. It's a peptide, and it's really great at promoting recovery and just your body rejuvenating itself very well and very easily. So yeah, I think that covers everything. Let me see if anybody has any questions. Okay. There we go. Awesome. So cool, guys. Thanks for attending my live. If you'll have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll reply to them soon. If you need me to tag you in the other trainings that I mentioned that go into more detail, like about the sleep, the beef liver, or anything else that I brought up, just let me know, and I can tag you in them so that you can learn from those. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.